Hey, folks, we're back. This is Stan with Stan the Coach. As we talked about before the break, we've got Coach Tommy Tubberville. If you've been around anywhere, TV and newspaper, radio, former college football coach at Auburn and a number of other places.
Defensive coordinator at the U for a
At
while,
the
wasn't
U,
you,
yeah,
Coach?
he was a defense
Yeah.
coordinator there, won some national championships, but he's running for U.S. Senate, and we've got him on the show tonight. Coach, how's everything going?
It's going good. And by the way, guys, I started my career in 1976 coaching high school football for 4 years. And I'm telling you, that's one of my best times of my life was when I was coaching high school because there wasn't a lot of pressure and the kids worked hard. And, I learned so much from that experience about having to water the grass on the practice fields and game fields, marking the fields. When you put that old chalk down, man, times have changed.
Yes, they have, Coach.
Well, Coach, you had I think that I cried when you left Auburn because I enjoyed the times while you were there. I actually had an opportunity to meet you. You put on a golf tournament there at Camp Aska for the special camp for children and adults, and with some of your charity work with them, and had an opportunity to play some golf with you there and meet you there. And you finish up your coaching career, you're getting into a different type of arena and running for U.S. Senate. What kind of sparked you in that direction, Coach?
Well, over the years, being a coach, as y'all have been, y'all realize what's going on in the small towns and the homes and the schools, businesses. And I've just noticed that, 40 years of coaching, about the last 10, 15 years, I've been starting to worry about our country. Our education, educating our kids, and a lot of the wrong things. We're starting to lose, respect and stuff for law enforcement. We don't. Our kids are. It's a great group of kids, but we've got to get back to teaching work ethic and things that workforce development and I told my wife a few years ago. I said, listen. If we don't change something in education and get away from teaching all these socialist ideas in the classroom and a lot of the schools, not all of them, but quite a few of them, the country's not going to be the same country that we grew up in. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to run for this position. I'm going to win this position. I'm going to be the U.S. Senator of Alabama this next, 8 months is the election for the general election. But next week is Super Tuesday where I have to run against the other Republicans. But being a football coach prepares you for a lot of things because of teaching leadership and work ethic and loyalty and trust and being able to listen and communicate. Our politicians can't communicate. These guys have lost it. They've been up there. They've been up there too long. And so I'm for term limits, but I want to go up and help the people of Alabama and help this country and help Donald Trump. I'm a Donald Trump guy. I believe in him. I believe he's got us back on the right track, but he's got to have some help. He doesn't have a lot of help in Washington, D.C.
Well, Coach, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. One of them, actually, me and my wife, Miss Olivia, were talking, and we in society where more marriages end in divorce than not. You and Miss Susan have made it work despite the long hours coaching that you had. So clearly, family values are important to you. How are you going to promote those family values that are so important to the listeners we have in the Wiregrass area when you get to Washington?
You guys know as well as I do that this country was built on Christian and more than family values. We're losing a lot of them. But you got to have a strong woman by your side, when you're a football coach or when you're any kind of position, high school coach, because they go through a lot of things that they can't control. I would lose a game wherever I was coaching, Auburn. I'd lose a game, come home, we'd all be sick at our stomach. But I could go back on Sunday and start working to rectify that and make something positive. But your wives have to go through a week of heck of dealing with people and listening to how bad things are. And so it's got to be a special person that's your wife. I've got two kids. One played at Auburn. Now he's still at Auburn. He's my youngest. And, you got to have a great family that's around you before you can do anything like being a head football coach or a U.S. Senator. because it's hard on everybody involved. But again, it all gets back to being a Christian and believing in God and having something to fall back on when time gets tough, because it ain't all roses when you're in the coaching business or even in politics.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is so true. And I've talked to I had some players that went up there during your tenure at Auburn, and one thing that everybody that played for you that I have ever talked to, Coach, has always said was, Coach Tubberville is a Christian. He promotes Christian values, and he leads by example.
Well, the one thing that I was so proud of when we got to Auburn, we started a chaplain program where we had really the first full-time team chaplain at Auburn. They did nothing but hang around the football players and coaches 24 hours a day. And a big part of the growing process as a young man, and really they work with women athletics too, but then we started training them, these full-time team chaplains. And now because of that what we started back early in 2000s, there's a full-time team chaplain in almost every school in the Southeast and in the Midwest because of that program. Now, God did that, and Chet Williams, my full-time team chaplain, but I think we have to get back to being a priority of putting God in our lives, because there's a lot of kids out there and a lot of people out there now that don't know anything about the Bible or Christianity, and we're being attacked every day, and we've got to get that back in our lives, or this country's not going to make it as we know it.
Yes, sir. And Coach, I'm gonna say this. I really appreciate the fact that you stand up and say, yes, I'm a politician, I'm a Christian, and the things that you've done in the past show that.
Well, the big thing about it is people are going to follow you if you're a leader, if you walk the walk and talk the talk. I see so many of these people that they're all talk, and there's no substance to it. And we've all seen that. We've all seen it in all walks of life.
In the Democratic debate last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what that was. I mean, that was a clown show.
That looked like a bad junior high scrimmage.
Yeah. If you watch that, if you notice two things, God is never brought up, and there's not an American flag on the stage. I really truly believe that the group on the left now, the Socialist, the Democratic Party, is absolutely just despises this government and this country that we have now. They want to totally change it. And that's another reason I want to go to Washington, D.C. Not on my watch are they going to have that free run like they're having right now. We've got too many Republicans in Washington, D.C. that when times get tough, they go underneath the table and they hide from the Democrats. They're afraid to fight back. Folks, if we don't start fighting back, we're going to lose this country as we know it.
Coach, we were sitting in Sunday school Sunday, and or a couple of Sundays ago, and when we got through, we were in the fellowship hall talking, and I made the comment, at some point in time, even Jesus got mad enough that he started turning over tables and running people out. We're close to that.
There's no doubt about it. And I've said this, and I've been ridiculed by I don't know who they are, the left and all this, saying I'm crazy. But when I brought this up about 6 months ago during my campaign, somebody asked me about Donald Trump. I said, let me tell you something. I truly believe that God sent Donald Trump because we needed somebody that had a strong backbone, a strong will, that would stand up to the non-Christian part of this country and say, listen, we ain't going to do it this way. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to get back on our feet. There's great people in this country, and we're going to strive to make it better every day. And we're not going to turn this thing over to a bunch of people in this country that don't believe what we believe in, because this country was built on God we trust. And now there's a lot of states that can't even use that. I'm a true believer that God sent him to us, because we were on our last leg. Had we got a socialist president in this country, our kids and grandkids would not have seen the America that we've grown up in.
Well, Coach, I'm going to tell you, I'm a firm believer in everything that you've said, and we wish you the best of luck, Coach. I had one more question for you, and that was you're the only one candidate in this race that's not a career politician. How will the skills that you learned as a football coach help you when you get to Washington?
Well, the one thing I tell people is they ask me, says, Coach, what makes you think you're qualified to be a senator? I said, well, let me tell you something. First of all, I've had a job. These people go up there forever, these career politicians. They get their news from a newspaper. They have their 2 martini lunches, and they forget about the people they represent. And they go up there, and all they try to do is get reelected. They don't want to make any decisions because they'll lose voters. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to vote for the people of Alabama. I'm going to stand up for the people of Alabama and people in this country and our flag. And I am sick and tired of people who want to go up there and just live off, the government. And I'm for term limits. I think we need new people up there all the time. We need to keep them moving in and out of there. We don't need guys and women up there 40, 50 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. And also, before we get off here, I just want to say this too. I know you got a lot of coaches listening to this. I'm also going to go up there and fight for sports. Let me tell you something. In this country, especially in football, it's being attacked every day by the liberal left, lawyers, and people that want to say, well, it's too physical a sport. Let me tell you something. I would hate to see this country without football. I really would. And, if we were to lose team sports and sports like football in this country, my goodness, can you imagine the kids on the streets now? It would be a lot worse.
It would, Coach, and I don't know what we'd do for our Saturdays. Then I guess we'd have to do more gardening or hunting and fishing or something like that. But I got 3 questions for you, Coach, before we let you go. First of all, we can't tell you how grateful we are for you spending time with us tonight. This is our 1-year anniversary show, and how this worked out to have Coach Tubberville, it just worked out,
It was God blessing us.
It was a blessing. And we do this thing at the end of all of our guests. We do a little thing called 3rd and 3. I'm going to change it up for you a little bit because it gets a little silly at times. And right now we're talking about running for U.S. Senate, and there's nothing silly about that. But got 3 questions for you. The first one is being a head coach. What was the most difficult part of being a head coach?
I would probably say letting a player go off the team. It seems like it's easy sometimes when a kid gets in trouble, but sometimes you got to cut. And if you make a decision to let a player go for something that obviously was out of your control, you know that you've lost them, and you work very hard in times when a lot of kids, you got problems with them. You try to work through them, and you try to help them and hope they grow up before you have to cut them loose. Sometimes you got to do it, and that's probably the toughest thing, was to just convince yourself, say, listen, you got to go, and there's no more disappointment than that you lost that kid somewhere. You weren't able to get him to the right side, for instance, and you know that whenever he's gone, that things aren't going to turn out well for him. So that's probably the toughest thing I ever had to do, was cut a kid off the football team.
All right, we said high school coaches. Now the toughest thing's parents. So that is a.
That ain't never changed. That was 40 years ago.
Yeah, that was 40 years ago. All right, question number 2. I know you're a big outdoorsman, hunting and fishing. All right, you've got a weekend to yourself. Okay, which one are you going to choose? You going hunting or you going fishing?
I'm going hunting.
Hunting.
I love to fish now, but I'm gonna tell you, I can relax. I'm not mad at deer anymore. I used to be a deer hunter. But there's nothing like going out and quail hunting or pheasant hunting with dogs and walking through these open fields and just looking at the beauty of this country and thinking, it ain't really about killing anything. It's about watching the dogs work, and it's about knowing you live in the greatest country on the face of the earth. Hey, when you were born in this country, you hit the lottery. And that gives you the opportunity to go out and just walk and be away from everything and just really enjoy this beautiful country that we live in.
All right, question number 3, Coach. This is probably the most difficult question. What's Mike Leach going to bring to the SEC?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. You talking about 2 different hires now. They at Ole Miss they hired Lane Kiffin, and you got to remember Mike Leach. I followed Mike Leach at Texas Tech. When he was relieved there for putting a guy in an electrical closet for a couple of hours. They didn't think that quite fit, and so they fire him, and then they bring me in, and man, did I hear some stories from Mike Leach, from people that worked around him and with him. The old boy's a good football coach. And he's a lawyer.
Yes. And he can put some points on the board.
Oh, he can put some points on the board now. And he ain't afraid to split a tackle out 7 or 8 feet away from the guard. And he will do some kind of, funny, he can put his entire game plan on a 3x5 index card. That's what's amazing. And he doesn't run a whole lot, but he's going to throw the ball down the field. He's not like some of these spread teams that run the bubble screens and the short passing game. This old boy is going to attack you deep, and he's going to attack you mid-range. You run cover too high on him now. He's going to throw those deep corner routes, 12, 15 yards, and he knows how to get it done and get it down the field. So he's going to be fun to watch. But the big thing is the press conferences with him and Lane Kiffin, on the Mondays or Tuesdays, because they're never going to be a dull moment. I'd love to be a reporter over there in those meetings, and I'm gonna tune into them every week.
I can't wait for media day. Yeah. When they have SEC media day, there's gonna be some of those coaches in the SEC when Leach gets up there talking, their head's gonna explode.
Well, he's not going to talk football. He's big into pirates. When I went into my office for the first time, there were pirate skeletons in that office that he left in. And he never talks football on the radio or press conference. He'll get up there and talk about the southwest winds of South Dakota, and why they. He's a historian. But I tell you, he's a good guy. He's a good football coach. He's going to be different in this league, but he's going to find out there's good defensive linemen in the SEC, and them boys can play defensive backs, and they can play man coverage. So he better lock and load.
That's
he's
true.
Going to find out, and they are going to come after that little offense he's got.
Well, Coach, hey, listen.
We sure do appreciate it, Coach, you coming on.
I guess we can say folks need to get out the polls.
They need to go vote. And Coach, I'm gonna tell you, if people were wondering which direction to go, I think you pulled them in right tonight.
Well, the big thing is the election is next Tuesday, and here's the deal: I don't need this job. I want it, and I'm not taking a salary. Every dime I make is going to the veterans of Alabama. Every month that I get a paycheck, I'm gonna come to a TV station and give the $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, whatever you make as a senator, to a widow or to somebody that's burned or somebody that's lost their legs. We don't do near enough for the veterans in this country. I don't need the money. All I want to do is make the money, give it to the veterans, and help out the people of Alabama. And if people don't vote for me, they're missing a chance to send somebody to Washington, D.C. that's going to go up and be responsible for them in Washington, D.C. and vote for them and look out for their best interests and get out of swamp dweller. We've got to get these career politicians out of Washington, D.C.
Well, Coach, you had my vote before tonight, but you definitely have it after tonight.
That's right, Coach.
Well, thank you. Well, just tell everybody about it and tell everybody to go vote. And, we got to save our country. We're in trouble. That tidal wave of socialism is coming. When Bernie Sanders is a guy that might be the Democratic nominee, we got huge problems.
That's scary.
That's right.
That's our youth. That's our young people. Education is the key to freedom. And right now, our kids are being educated in socialism, and we've got to stop it. And we got to stop it now, or we're going to lose this country as we know it.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time, and good luck next Tuesday.
Well, I appreciate it, and let's be on again sometime. Don't be a stranger. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. That's making many years, but when I win this thing, I want to be back on there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We definitely will do that.
That's great. Awesome. Again, I'm a football coach, and I believe in athletics, and we need to fight for athletics in this country. And again, it's being attacked every day, and I'm going to be a representative for sports in Washington, D.C., because we can do a lot of good up there.
Well, again, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
And
All right. God
we're
bless
going to
y'all.
get
Thank
everybody
you.
out.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.